value in these markets? Well, to talk his strategies, joining me now is Avinnash Gorakssakar, Chief Investment Officer and Head of Research at Precision Investment Services. Avinnash, thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to start by asking you about Lupin. What did you make of the news? A 200% increase is substantial. I'm not too sure how the US authorities would look at that, because there is an ongoing tussle on the AIDS drugs and the price increase over there. But what do you think about the stock per se?
No, I think it's definitely good news for Lupin, because a 200% hike obviously means that, for this diabetic drug, at least for some timeline, they could get a significant increase on their earnings front. And I think the Q1, especially if you see the US market numbers, were quite disappointing. So I think the coming couple of quarters could possibly see earnings getting improved. And I think that could possibly help, some sort of re-rating in the stock, because for a long time we have seen Lupin actually underperforming in the US markets.
Okay, fair enough. But that's not among your top picks right now. But I'm going to talk about your top picks, value picks. Your first pick is Reliance, a stock which showed promise soon after the AGM, and we discussed it. But 2010 onwards, it's not a stock that's gone very far, Avinnash. It's been a laggard. Why do you like it?
No, in fact, that's the specific reason, Mini, I have chosen it, because, I think if you look at the business model of Reliance, I think it's now moving into the telecom business, and the kind of capacity and the kind of news flows which we have got till now, what Reliance is going to plan for the Jio launch. My sense is, I think Reliance is probably the only company in India which has got the capacity to actually absorb losses and take a hit on its financials for the next couple of years. In fact, probably, most of the other players are sensing that, and competition is going to increase. But the kind of innovative pricing, the kind of cutthroat competition which is going to come in, my sense is not only on the, on the service side, especially on the data and voice business, but even on the handset business, these guys are going to actually change the market dynamics. More importantly, if you ask me, in the next 3 to 4 years, a customer base of at least 100 million customers is something which is very much possible, a market share of almost 30 to 35%. So all said and done, when the stock is down, when nobody is looking at it, I would sense that, probably after, say, 2018 or 2019, that is the time when actually you could see a lot of value. Maybe it's a long-term call, but clearly from a business standpoint of view, clearly I think they have the cash and the, market, breaking ability. So in that perspective, clearly valuations look pretty attractive. I think the downside for Reliance may not be very large, but once the Jio launch happens and, market gets a feel of what the product is and how the commissioning and execution is, my sense is at least I would be looking at a target price of around 1200 or 1300.
That will be quite an up move for the stock. I wish we could show you the 4-year, 5-year graph of Reliance, because I think it was around November 2010 that the stock touched 1108, which is 1108. That level was then reached in 2014 when we saw it at 1120. We partially reached close to that. We crossed that 1,000 rupee mark again in 2015, and we are back to the 839 marker. So, I mean, would you really stick your neck out and say that a 1300 is possible on Reliance? At what time frame? Just to recap, a year?
No, I think a little more than that. I think I wouldn't be betting on Reliance for the next 1 year, but at least over the next, say, 18 months.
18 months. Okay, fine. We'll get you back and talk about that, because it's been a bit of a disappointment for a lot of people who watched.
I think clearly it's a contra call, Mini, but the point which I would like to drive is that there's going to be a lot of value upside from the telecom business, and unlike what people think that they're going to lose a lot of cash, I think they are probably the best place to lose cash. In fact, the other companies in the sector, something like a Bharati or maybe an Idea or a Reliance Com, are going to find it very tough over the next 12-18 months.
Okay, fair enough. So that's Avinash's first pick, but the second pick is a stock which has done phenomenally well, Ashok Leyland, which is up about 137% over the 1-year period. How much upside do you see in a stock like Ashok Leyland?
No, I think clearly from a cyclical recovery point of view, Ashok Leyland has done extremely well in South India. In fact, they've increased their market share. They're focused on their working capital management. They're focused on their inventory management. So clearly, a lot of operating leverage is yet to come in. And hopefully, the kind of management commentary which they've given, they're looking at a 20 to 25% volume growth over the next 12 months. Our sense is that as the macros improve, hopefully from the second half of this year and then in FY17, I think, rate cuts apart, the overall macro scenario is improving. So that will be good.
Avinnash, hold on. We've got Rajiv Lal speaking live.